Welcome to the Make Your Mark podcast. Hey everyone, I'm Mark Moyer, author of Win Again, speaker, career coach, and business advisor. And I help athletes, executives, and entrepreneurs reach their fullest potential. What you're going to be hearing in every single episode are conversations with athletes and other sports-related influencers. And we'll be offering you the insight that you need to succeed in life, including advice that will let you jump past your competition, whether it be for a great new job or taking your business to a much, much higher level. Make sure to connect with me on social media at Mark Moyer Coach and go to my website, markmoyer.com, to get access to the tips and strategies that my coaching clients get directly. If you're looking for ways to make your mark, send me an email to mark@markmoyer.com and I'll get you going right away. Thanks for joining me today. It's going to be an awesome episode. Now, are you ready to make your mark? Let's do this. Hey everyone, welcome to the Make Your Mark podcast. My name is Mark Moyer and I'm broadcasting to you live from New York City. Super thrilled to have you on board wherever you're listening, if it's here in New York, somewhere else in the United States, or anywhere else on our planet. Thanks for being here and super excited. Just finished calling and chatting with Santia Deck. And Santia, she is an incredible young lady. She's the queen of abs. Right there, I'm going to stop and say, Queen of Abs. I'm not kidding. You need to check that out. On top of that, a professional rugby player, a flag football player, a fitness instructor, a model. I mean, she does everything. Really an incredible story. You're going to love this episode. And she's a fabulous role model for everybody listening. I really look up to her and everything she's accomplished. I really do. But first, I want to make sure that you catch every one of these episodes of the Make Your Mark podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you're catching this, click that subscribe button. Also go to my website, markmoyer.com, for all kinds of great content as it pertains to your business, taking it to a new level, or your career, finding a great job that you want to do. Also, there's access to all my previous episodes on there. Lots of great stuff. So make sure you go there. But you can tell how excited I am. You're going to love this episode. Santia is awesome. Here she is. Happy listening. Welcome, everyone, to the Make Your Mark podcast. My name is Mark Moyer, and I'm super thrilled to have Santia Deck joining me. She is, incredible. Like, I look up to her. I mean, she's so accomplished in so many different ways. You're going to learn all about her, but let's just introduce her. Say hi.
Hey guys, how are you guys?
Everyone's fabulous because they're going to hear all about the different things that you're involved with. You've got, a successful online business. You're a successful trainer, model, athlete, and apparently monkeys and trees, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. That's really cool too, and I'm super jealous about that. But before I go into all that, give me a sense first we'll talk right now first about what you're doing today and these days that's keeping you busy, and just touch on that for maybe a minute or two, and then we're going to talk a little bit about your early life and so forth. But what's keeping you busy right now?
Man, I'm doing so much. It's kind of hard to say everything, but right now, I play rugby. I'm currently on the road to the Olympics. So a lot of my time is spent training, traveling for games, for camps, all types of stuff. I'm also a business owner. So my business has taken off quite a bit these last 3 months. It's literally took a 360. So I'm traveling out of the country, to different states, like almost every month now. And I'm doing TV stuff. I'm actually going to be on a reality TV show that's based in Atlanta. It's about fitness trainers called Flex Atlanta. It's going to be on Amazon Prime, so look out for that.
Cool.
I'm also possibly going to be on another competition show. So I'm not going to say which show, but you guys will know what it is once I drop it. So I'm excited about that. And then I have a talk show that we're going to be filming this summer as well, the second season, this summer as well. I'm doing a lot of magazine related things. I'm doing a lot, guys. I'm doing a lot.
So do you sleep at all, or is that, nah?
I try to get at least 4 to 5 hours in every night.
Oh my God. Isn't it amazing though? Like, I feel like we all jam so much stuff into our days now more and more. And, every time I see someone say, well, you need to get 8 hours a night. And I'm like, Man, I'm like at a deficit of 7 million hours right now. Like, I don't know when I'll make that up. I always tell people,
Exactly.
I'll tell people I sleep when I'm dead. And then they'll say, well, yeah, you're going to die sooner then, or whatever. But, whatever, it is what it is.
Right.
But look, it's exciting to hear about all the different things. Cause I even saw surrounding the Super Bowl, you were featured as one of the top or the top female athlete in Atlanta or something like that, right?
Yes, I got honored as like an outstanding woman woman in sports in Atlanta. So yeah, the city honored me, which is pretty cool.
That is pretty darn cool. Yes, I mean, lots happening at once, and I'm sure your head's spinning a little bit, but it's all exciting. And as you said, it's just really started to kick in over the last few months. But let's take a giant step backwards. I love to tell the listeners a little bit about, where you came from and how you became who you are now, right? Because I want people to see that, you didn't just step out of some test tube where you were created by some perfect scientists and stuff. No, it took a ton of hard work and a ton of effort and a ton of time. This just doesn't happen overnight. But exactly. I also want you'll be able to tell people, but other people can do this. It's not just you, right? So let's take that step back, though. Tell me a little bit about where you grew up and what it was like growing up there, and then a little bit about your high school time.
Sure. So I was actually born in Greenville, South Carolina. I moved to Houston when I was less than a year old, so I kind of say I'm from Houston. So I was raised in Houston, and then when I moved to Atlanta my senior year in high school, which sucked because I graduated with strangers, but it's okay. And then I went back to Texas for school. So I went to Texas A&M Kingsville, graduated, had a full ride for track and field. I got my bachelor's in English. Ended up I published my book in college and actually got it in the bookstore in college, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, you're whistling. Wait, we have more than 30 seconds for this podcast. Slow down.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right. But you know what? I love it because I have other people that they spend, 47 minutes on their whatever.
Yeah.
But no, so I love the fact that you're from the Houston area originally. I was there a million years ago and I used to I did the thing with riding the bull at Gillies and all that sort of thing. But no, don't roll your eyes completely. But when you became an Aggie and you're Texas A&M, and you said you did track and field, but what were some of the events you did? What was your specialty?
I ran the 100, 200, and 4x1.
Wow.
The sprinter.
It is the sprinting. And I have an interesting story to tell you a little bit later about rugby that I'm connected with and so forth. But so you're at Texas A&M, you're doing this, you've got the full ride, but you're right. It's cool to have a book because now I know that, and we'll talk about your book in a second, but did they have you do a book signing in the bookstore, or how'd that go?
No, actually, I didn't even know they put it in the bookstore.
Oh, really?
My mom actually made it happen. So one day I walked in there and I saw it and I was like, what the heck? And my mom's like, yeah, I got them to put it in the bookstore. So yeah, I had my friends come who took pictures and everything. So it was pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was definitely a great gift from my mom. So yeah,
that is nice. Well, tell me a little bit about what caused you to want to write the book and what's it about?
So I actually I wrote the book when I was a sophomore in high school. And my book is called The Struggle, and it's actually about child abuse. And I wasn't abused when I was a child, but I had friends that were. So I kind of told their story without telling it, and I added my own twist to it. It's actually about a little boy who had dreams of going to the NFL, but he was getting abused at home. So it's about kind of how he overcame that and everything like that. It's kind of weird that I was always very, very passionate about helping children, even when I was a child. And I used to write, in class about being homeless and being abused and things like that. And it wasn't like I had experience. So my mom she's always say, well, maybe you were abused in the lifetime, because I could literally translate the feeling of a person that was getting abused or was homeless onto paper. And I remember I actually got in trouble when I was in middle school because I was writing. It was free, we get the free write or whatever, tell a story. And I wrote about this child who was homeless and how he like felt the pavement and if it smelled the garbage around him. And my teacher was like, hey, we need to talk after class. And so she was like, is everything okay at home? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, well, you're writing these stories and I just want to make sure that, you have a place to live. And I was like, no, I'm fine. And she was like, well, how do you know how this smells and how this feels?
Oh, interesting.
And I was like, oh, I have no idea. So I ended up the principal came in, my mom had to come in and talk to the teachers and said, hey, that's just how she writes.
Really?
And,
wow.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But I mean, that's when I realized, okay, I'm a pretty good writer. So yeah.
That's exciting though. I mean,
right.
It's exciting. I mean, it's not good what happened with your mom and so forth, but
right. Yeah.
Cool. That's and you know, what's funny is that I think a lot of times people feel that they, I mean, I know lots of people that say, well, I'm not a good writer. But to me, writing comes from the heart, right? It's you don't need to be the best writer and using the fanciest words and all that sort of thing. You just need to know what's inside of you, right? And so I'm sure that's what contributed to it, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's cool. So you come out of college and you're like, did you already know when you graduated, well, this is what I'm going to do next? Like what went through your mind then?
So I was building my social media following while I was in college.
Okay.
I ended up getting on Instagram kind of late because I was still stuck on Facebook. But actually one of my friends had challenged me. She was like, hey, I bet I can get more followers than you. And I was like, oh, I bet you can. And so then I hopped on Instagram. I started posting like all my videos from me working out, like Texas A&M. And then people started commenting like, hey man, you have like really defined abs for a girl. And that's when I started posting more core workouts and more pictures of me like showing my abs. And then people started sharing my pictures and videos. And next thing I know, like my social media following started going crazy. And then like I told my mom, and she was like, we should start trying to maybe brand your abs or something. And I was like, yeah. And then she was like, well, what do you want to be called? And I was like, I don't know, maybe like Princess of Abs. And then she was like, well, why be a princess when you can be a queen?
Oh.
And then that's when Queen of Abs came. And yeah, once I started like really getting focused on that, which kind of came like randomly because somebody had asked, it was this one girl I followed on Instagram and she was always posting like, oh, lipstick from here, shirt from this company, blah, blah, blah. And I had messaged her and I was like, are you getting all this stuff for free? And she was like, yeah, like I have like 10,000 followers. So people just send me stuff. And so I remember I ended up like DMing this company from Hawaii and they had a shirt that I really liked. And I was like, hey, I would love to promote your shirt on my platform. At that time I had like maybe 6,000 followers and they're like, sure. And so like being a broke college student, like anything free is like, oh my God, the world is like, it's ending or whatever. So I ended up getting the shirt and that's when I realized, I can make a living from this. And so I started building it even more. I was like really, really like working super hard on doing shout outs, having good content. And so when I graduated, I had maybe around 15 to 20,000 followers. And my mom was like, well, let's go ahead and, make this into a business. So I got my LLC, I did all the back end stuff. I'm lucky to have my mom, because she knows all about that stuff. As soon as I graduated, I literally had the choice of going to nationals for track or filming my fitness DVD. And I chose to film my fitness DVD. And my coach hated me. He probably still hates me to this day. Because he was like, oh, you have to do something really good in life to make up for missing the national championships. And I didn't like him. So that's kind of why I didn't care. But I did care because I felt bad. But I was like, yeah, I have a chance to start my business and make a living. So I think I'm going to go that way.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, the next day I graduated and filmed my fitness DVD.
So how long did it take to record those DVDs, or how'd you do it?
We actually did it in one day. It took probably like 10 hours.
Wow.
It was a long day of filming.
And you probably by the end of it, you were just gassed, I'm sure, because it's not like you're an actress where you're just like doing a line. You're working out. I mean,
yeah, no, I had to take like 3 days off after that DVD. It was crazy.
That's amazing though. So obviously you're involved in a lot of different things right now, but I want to hear more about the rugby, and I'll tell you why. You don't know this yet about me, or maybe I mentioned it in our first when we chatted before, but I played rugby back in college. 100,000 years ago. I always tell people it was back when the ball was square, but that's not true. It was never square. And then recently I met a guy who is on the U.S. men's team, or was on the men's team. I don't know if you know the name Brian Doyle, but a really great guy, huge guy. He's like 6'12" or something. I don't know. He's huge. But but what was funny about it was that he made a really great point about this. And I follow the sport fairly closely. I mean, I love it. I think it's such a great sport. And when kids start playing it and adults start playing it, it's almost more exciting and interesting than football is. And I'll talk about that in a sec. But right. But back when I was playing, like in college and after college a little bit, it was more of a social game. Like we'd play, but then you drink a lot of beer and you hang out and you sing songs and you shoot the boot, right? You drink your beer out of a cleat or whatever it is. But now it's become, I mean, a serious physical, but also, you need to be in tip-top shape. There's no drinking from kegs afterwards or before or whatever. I mean, there's a little bit, but it's nothing like it used to be. But now there's so much more training required. And more interestingly, there's a whole lot of people that are like yourself, like track standouts that have become amazing in rugby. And
right.
but I love this story, but I'd love for you to tell the listeners how you managed to get involved in rugby. I love it. Go ahead.
So I have a pretty interesting story on how I actually got started with rugby. Because when I was graduating, when I did graduate, I still wanted to try to go pro in track. And so but I kept getting injured while I was in school. So I told myself if I got injured one more time, I was going to be done. So I ended up injuring my groin, like right before the Olympic trials. So I was like, okay, that's my sign that I'm done. And I started playing flag football. I did surprisingly well. Started getting a lot of attention from different coaches from different sports, and rugby was one of them. I ended up getting a message randomly on Facebook one day from the USA coach at that time. And he was like, hey, have you ever thought about playing rugby? Or he actually said, would you want to play rugby in the Olympics? And I was like, what the hell is rugby? But yeah, I mean, whatever it is, yeah. And then he was like, okay, well, I'm going to invite you down here for a camp to see how well you do, but you're really fast and we're looking for speed. And I was like, okay, yeah. So the next week I was flown down to San Diego to go to the Olympic Center. As soon as I landed, the coach got fired. So I was like devastated because I was like, man, like that was so random. And I still had my biggest dream, and still is to this day, is to go to the Olympics. I don't care what it is. It could be throwing a ball at the wall, whatever. So that was like, really devastating because I was like, man, this is my chance. I just lost track. I had to give up on track. So maybe this is why. And when I got down there, he got fired. The new lady that came in, she was like a B. I don't want to say the actual word, but she was like, why are you here? You don't even know what this sport is. Once you learn how to play, you can maybe come back. And so I went home and I was just like in tears, and I was just like, I don't know, like I was questioning everything. And I'm very big on my faith. So I was actually questioning God. I was like, why, whatever. And so on my way back, I ended up getting a call from the LFL coach, and he saw my videos as well. He was like, hey, like you're really good, playing flag football. Have you ever thought about tackle? And I was like, no, but I'll try it. So I went in, I went to the camp, literally right after I got off the airplane. I went straight to the LFL camp. I did really well, made the team. Ended up really not liking it. If anybody knows what LFL is, lingerie football, it just wasn't a good look for my brain. To me, it was very degrading as a woman, if I can be honest. And so I just didn't like it. And after that, I just continued playing flag football, ended up making the USA flag football team, which I'm currently on now. But everybody kept tagging me in all these rugby videos, and they were like, man, look at this girl. You can totally play this sport. And I was like, you know what? Let me actually try to learn how to play this sport. So I went on LinkedIn. I found a coach out here in Atlanta, went out to a practice, and the rest was history. Like, he was like, man, like, you're going to go to the Olympics.
Well, I love watching, I watched some of your rugby videos and some of the your practices and stuff. And it's so much fun to see you absolutely destroy, like you're playing these guys and you just like went busting their ass around the, you whoa, and you're off and I love that stuff. And there was another one where you practically broke the guy's ankles because you did a juke or whatever. It was great. So, but that's the beauty of, so what's interesting about rugby, and I think a lot of people don't know this, is that, I think people's image of rugby is usually the scrum. They see the guys or the women doing this, right? And they don't necessarily know how much speed is involved, especially, as you pass the ball out. So I think it's great that, and it's awesome that, like, to me, I think the sport is one that for a long time was obviously, sort of reserved for, I don't know what, like the Brits and the Irish and the Aussies and the New Zealanders and so on. And not as much Americans. I mean, it's sort of been there, but not a lot. And I think that now that it becomes like more different types of demographics and people playing it and so on, I think it's such a fun sport. I think it's great that you're doing that. So So when do you have matches coming up, or what's the scoop with the rugby?
Yeah, so I actually literally just got back in town last night from Las Vegas, and we played in the USA Sevens game.
The Sevens, yep.
Tournament, actually. And that was my first time ever in Vegas and ever playing in that tournament, and it was like insane. We actually ended up doing pretty good. We got 5th. I had 3 tries in one game. So that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
So I did really well. Got some attention at some coaches. Gonna make that announcement later. Still praying on it. So I did really well. I got to see Carl and Owls and some people that I look up to like really play, which is amazing to see just how fast he is and these other players. But the next tournament I have coming up is actually supposed to possibly be in Canada. We're still trying to figure out the details on that. But I'm actually going to be going to New Zealand in April to go out there and train at one of the academies out there.
Wow.
So that should help take my skill level to like the next level, because I've only been playing like 11 months or 10 months actually. So I'm still super new, and it's still a lot that I don't know. So I think going out there and playing internationally, like that's going to be amazing for my
hanging
career.
out with the All Blacks, huh? That'd be amazing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh
the Black
my God. And then you got to come back though and do the dance, the big,
I know I got to learn it first.
Yeah, I know. That'd be pretty sweet. That'd be cool. The Americans, we need to get like something like that, don't we? Like
so something more exciting.
Well, yeah. And a little, something. Now, so look, obviously between rugby and the other, the sports that you've played, but also your business and everything, it seems like you're now doing a lot more traveling and you've been around the world a fair amount. But tell me a little bit about like an experience that you've had internationally that sort of surprised you. In other words, let's say you're at a certain country and you're like, wow, I can't believe these people don't know about blank, whatever it is. What was one of the big surprises you had out there?
I think my all-time favorite trip so far has been Fiji.
Wow.
Just because if you know anything about rugby and Fijians, they're like magicians of the sports world. Just how they pass, how they play is so like it's not. I don't know. It's just so different, and just the culture down there, like it's like literally like football down here. Like rugby is like literally their entire life. Right. And it's like you can see like 1-year-olds like coming out the womb or whatever playing rugby, and it's just like how it's like that's like their whole like when you come into Fiji, like there's literally I can never say his name, but he's like a rugby legend, and he's holding the rugby ball like in the airport. It's like a huge mural of him, and it just was like amazing to just see how much they love the sport, and they were all so nice, and we got to actually go into the villages and like eat with them. And they all had like all these stories about, how their great grandfather played rugby, and now they do, and now their children do. And they're just so like loving, and it was just interesting like how well they took in, Americans, because some countries they like hate us because of somebody. But just going out there and seeing like how they played, and then actually getting to train with some of them. And, how, again, like you can get, outran by one of them, and they come and shake your hand at the end and everything. So it was just surprising because, I'm used to being super, the really fast one, but going to Fiji, they're all fast. and they're all agile. It's like, that's what they're born to do. So that actually, I think that was the most surprising and interesting trip I've ever taken, because I'm thinking like, oh, I'm doing something out here in America. But then I go out there and it's like everybody's me on level 10. And I'm just like, man, it was pretty crazy. Yeah.
Well, that must have been really cool. And especially, look, when you're exposed to a different culture, and they obviously view a lot of different things differently than we do. Actually, I'm curious about something. What was their view of social media? Are they as involved with social media as we are, or not really? Or what was it like down there?
They're not as involved as we are, but it is still pretty big out there. Actually, some people out there knew who I was, which is weird. I thought that was like the coolest thing ever. So yeah, I mean, everybody was taking pictures and on their phones. So I guess it's everybody does it. But I think, of course, Americans, we're just like the worst at, we're just obsessed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a great experience.
Wow, that is neat. I also know that you were involved with Steve Austin's Broken Skull Challenge, right? Tell me a little bit about that, because it's not it had to be an interesting experience.
Yeah. So I used to be like a huge wrestling fan when I was younger, and he was actually one of my favorite wrestlers. So it was pretty cool to like see him in real life, because he looked huge on TV, but in real life he looks even bigger. So it was pretty cool, and I thought it was neat that he actually was like super excited that I played football. So he was talking to me about like, how cool that was, and I thought it was cool that he thought it was cool. And yeah, he was like overall just a really chill guy, huge, like I said. And then the people there, they were all really cool. I still talk to some of the girls today. So I made some really good friends. The competition was crazy. I've never seen that, I guess, females that athletic, because a lot of them were like powerlifters or CrossFit athletes. So it was just pretty cool to see like the athleticism. And yeah, it was overall like, it was a great experience. It was hot. We were like in the middle of the desert in Cali, but it was amazing. Like I got a lot of opportunities after that show. So yeah.
Well, and at the end of the day, that's what I like to tell people is that's sort of promotion, and it came from doing something fun and interesting, and not necessarily bad or boring or whatever it is, right? So yeah. That's perfectly cool. And it's also interesting to be involved in those kind of, it's almost like a Survivor type game sort of a thing, because it shows people a little bit of the real you, but it also shows how you adapt and sort of fight through certain things and struggle and get past hurdles and that sort of thing. So that's pretty cool. So shifting gears a little bit, I know that you mentioned earlier that you really like working with kids and speaking with kids and that sort of thing. Look, you've accomplished so much already, but what do you like to tell, let's say teenagers, for example, or younger? What are some of the things, the messages you like to give?
I'm really big on just empowering them, because I know definitely when you're young, definitely in this generation, there's so many obstacles and so many things, so many bad influences that, that are constantly around them. And so I try to, preach about just always being you and not trying to fit in, because I know that's kind of what society kind of brainwashes them to feel like they should do, is to be like Nicki Minaj or be like, Cardi B or whoever, not knowing that these aren't really the best influences. And so I also preach to them about, body image. I know me growing up, I was bullied as a child because I was super muscular as a girl and very athletic. And of course, that wasn't the norm, as a child, outrunning boys and, having broader shoulders than, your boyfriend or whatever. And so I got teased a lot, and I honestly did not love myself until college. I used to cry to my mom about, Mom, why didn't God, make my shoulders smaller? Why is my back so, just all these things that I didn't really realize until I grew up and people started talking about it. So I try to, preach to children about, God made you perfect in his image. So no matter what anybody says or anybody thinks, and definitely being an athlete, he made me this way because I am an athlete. He made me muscular so that I could be dominant on the track and on the football field. So I just tell people my story about how I overcame that. And I honestly, like I said, I didn't like myself until I went to college one day. And we were on spring break. We went to the beach, and my friend was like, "Why do you always cover up your body? Like, why don't you?" I never wore a one piece or a two piece ever in my life until college. And she was like, "Why don't you ever like, wear, cut off shirts or whatever?" And I was like, "Oh man, I feel like I look like a man, to be honest." And she was like, no, like, let's make a bet. How about you wear a two piece? And if anybody says anything negative, you don't ever have to do it again. And I was like, okay, fine. So I wore a two piece, and I got like so many compliments from girls and guys. And I was like, okay, maybe it's not that bad. And so from there, my confidence went up, and then I started accepting myself, and it was all good after that. But it took me literally a long time to get to that point. So I preached that, and then life after sports, because a lot of athletes don't know any like what to do after they're done with their sports career. So yeah.
Well, that's near and dear to my heart. That's what I love talking to athletes and really helping them with that transition, because again, it's something that when you're an athlete and you're in the middle of it, you have supreme confidence in your athletic skills. You're an elite athlete, whether it's in your case, rugby or track or football or whatever it is, but you kick butt doing it, right? But once you get out and suddenly you're like, whoa, what am I going to do now? What ends up happening with a lot of athletes is they feel like, geez, their confidence falls off the edge, right? And what most of them don't realize, and it's a lot of what I try to do with my coaching and so forth, is really show them how they can leverage so many of the different types of advantages that they have as an athlete that non-athletes don't have. The ability to adapt to a playbook, the ability to fight past, physical pain. There's so many different things that, always operating at a high potential on a high level, being comfortable on a stage in front of the media. There's so many things that athletes bring to the table. And I think that's great that I appreciate the fact that you're trying to teach people, about that, because, we know too many stories of athletes that really suffer, after the game and after they leave. So I'm thrilled that you're doing that. And now we spoke about this a little bit earlier, but I need to hear it again just to torture myself a little bit more. Where are you going again in a little while?
Yeah. So in September, I'm doing 2 fitness retreats in Costa Rica. And we're going to be staying in literally pipe houses. They customized these pipes and made it to like hotel rooms, which is like the coolest thing ever. But we're staying like in like pretty much like the middle of like a jungle kind of. But right behind it is like a beach. So you wake up, you can literally come out your room, take a left, and you're at the beach. And then you can also wake up to like monkeys, like swinging in the trees. It's like a lot of hollering monkeys out there. It's fruit trees everywhere. It's literally just like a dream. It's a bucket list opportunity, because we're also going to be kayaking, hiking, snorkeling, learning how to surf, just all types of amazing things that, again, you probably wouldn't get on a normal retreat. No. Because honestly, you would probably work out and then that's it. But you're working out with me for 7 days and getting to experience Costa Rica. So it's like, I cannot wait. And the monkeys, yes. And the monkeys. So cool.
How cool is that? So excited. Now, so wait a minute. So first of all, how many people are going on this trip?
We already have over 150 people that have sent in requests, but we can only take 38. But we're thinking about maybe even doing 4 weeks of the retreat if we need to. So we're still trying to figure that out, because I've only been promoting it a month, and it's in September. So
wow,
yeah,
that's amazing.
But yeah, so I'm excited. I can't wait.
Yeah, that's probably one of those really good gigs to have, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So, but listen, if I go, am I forced to do all this exercising stuff, or can I just lay down in the hammock and have it my time?
I mean, you're not forced to, but I think you'll have a lot of fun if you did.
All right, I got it. So, all right, one other quick question, because this is something that's sort of semi-important to me. I see a lot of fitness trainers out there, and a lot of them look as good as you, and they are very fit, and they look perfect and amazing and all that sort of thing. And maybe I don't feel as fit and so forth. So one thing I'd love to get from you is maybe if you could address the people out there and the listeners, what is something that someone can do very basically in their apartment, house, bedroom, wherever they are, that you think would really be helpful in strengthening, let's say, their core, and something that they can do that doesn't necessarily need, they don't need to go to the gym or don't need to do whatever?
Yeah. So I actually have online programs where you can do like workouts in your home. So you don't need any equipment or the gym. And actually have one that's dedicated to the core. So I would probably say to go ahead and pick that up because it's a lot of different exercises. It comes with a meal plan, a grocery list, and a detox. So you're getting everything you need. Plus, all you have to do is kind of watch me. It's a physical video of me actually doing the exercises. So you know how to do them correctly. But I would definitely say, yeah, pick up my challenge. It's pretty dope, and I have a lot of great testimonials from it.
Well, just the word detox alone probably knocks about 15 pounds off my body right there. So, no, I'm joking. Yeah. It's not that bad. I think I look good. Come on. I've got abs under my abs. Anyway, so look, one last thing I want to talk about. It's called the Hit Your Mark segment here. And it's just a quick couple of funny little things that I want to throw at you. But right now, as we speak, and I know this is probably an impossible question to answer, but I'll just ask it anyway. Who is your favorite athlete? And why?
My favorite athlete is probably, I really like LeBron, of course, and I like Serena Williams. So one of them.
All right. Obviously incredible athletes, and they're not just incredible athletes, right? But they're also great role models because they're doing so much more outside of their game, right? They're entrepreneurs and they're, family and all that sort of thing. So two great choices. And if you, do you have any pets right now?
I don't, unfortunately.
Well, you don't have the time to, right? But if you had a pet, and if I said to you, you can have a pet, but it can't be a dog or a cat, what could it be?
Maybe a monkey, because they're so cute.
Just remember, someday when you become a multi-trillionaire or whatever it is, and you conquer the world and everything else, think about the fact that you can have any pet you want, and that's what you're going to have. You're going to have a monkey on your shoulder, like following you around everywhere. It's funny, every time, I don't know if you ever watched the movie Raiders of the Lost Ark, what's his name? Indiana Jones. But the very first movie he did, they had a monkey in it, but the monkey was actually like a spy for the bad guys. And I remember watching that monkey going, man, I don't like that monkey. And I was thinking that was anyway, that was a pretty random story. All right. And if you had a chance to hang out with 3 people, alive or dead, it doesn't matter, 3 people for dinner, let's say tonight, who would be the 3 people you'd love to sit down with?
Yeah, my favorite athlete of all time is FloJo.
Okay, cool.
So definitely her, just because I literally modeled my brand around her. Second will be maybe, that's so tough because there's so many people. Definitely like probably Michelle Obama, just because she's so big into like empowering women, and like I feel like we have the same message. Third, I don't know, that's tough. It's like between Oprah, maybe Tupac, because he was like my favorite artist of all time. Maybe Muhammad Ali. I don't know. That's tough. That's really tough. Yeah. I'll just say Tupac. I don't know.
I was gonna say I think you're gonna end up bringing 10 people to dinner now, right?
But probably 100.
Yeah, that's cool. What's funny is that very few people look back like throughout history. Like I think it'd be really cool to hang out with. I don't know, like I don't want to say Genghis Khan, but I don't know, or George Washington, or Jesus, or I don't know, whatever, or like what's his name, King Tut or something, right? Like hang on, have a beer with King Tut.
I didn't even think about that, going that far back. Yeah, that would actually be pretty cool.
I guess. Anyway, well, look, I want to thank you for hanging out with me on this the Make Your Mark podcast. A lot of the reason why I like having people like you on is that I like to have athletes on that are performing on the fields, right? But I also like to talk to people that are really doing so much more and, off the field as well. And when I mean off the field, I mean, in your case, I like how you do like to speak to children and work with them and really influence them. You're out there in social media, regular media. You're hanging out in Costa Rica, which I'm going to have to I'll figure out some way to get there. And then just, I want to see if I can swing in the trees with the monkeys. That'd be pretty damn fun.
That would be so fun.
Probably not a good idea for me though. But anyway, but listen, I really appreciate your time. I'm excited to see just even the last few months how quickly things have been going for you, right? It's crazy.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been fun. But thanks for being on. And I look forward to watching everything grow so much faster for you and appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for joining us today on this episode of Make Your Mark podcast. The goal of the podcast is to help you find ways to make your mark, to succeed in life, and to jump past your competition. Be sure to leave me a review on iTunes and Stitcher, and subscribe to be the first to hear new episodes. If you're looking for ways to make your mark, send me an email, mark@markmoyer.com, and I'll get back to you right away. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.